If you're on our mailing list for the communications we send out, you would have seen what this quick tip is all about. The newsletter itself, I call it Saturday Morning Thoughts. This is little written tips I send out every Saturday morning to those on the mailing list. So it was about the alternation of warm and cool, and I called it another forgotten tool. And so an email came in from one of the folks on our mailing list. She said she enjoyed the quick tip, but she said, would you mind creating a quick tip for explaining the correct way to follow it? All right, so here's a little bit more on warm and cool alternation. Well, let's begin from the ground up. We need to look at what warm and cool means and what alternation means, and then how do we use that in painting in order to get richer paintings. Warm and cool. The way our color wheel is arranged is according to the spectrum. And what we know is that these colors on this side of the traditional color wheel fall into the cool range for one reason. They all have blue in them. Blue is the coolest color we have, coolest hue we have. And so all the ones that have blue in them group themselves together on the color wheel on this side. All those that don't have blue in them we call warm. They group themselves on this side. And we have two colors that kind of sit halfway between. We have the yellow-green, which does have blue in it, but it also has yellow in it, and it's about equal. Whether it reads in our vision as warm or cool depends upon what color it's sitting beside or within. Same thing is true with red-violet. So if you think that just putting a color down and going from there without any consideration for the other colors you put down, you might be making the mistake of losing the harmony and losing the potential luminosity of your painting. Every color is affected by whatever colors surround it. The reason for that is because of how our eyes respond to those colors. So any cool color sitting beside any warm color will cause a kind of visual vibration. The further they are apart, the more vibration we see between them. Let me just illustrate that briefly for you. I have on my palette here a blue, and for the blue I have on the palette, I have ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue leans a tiny bit towards blue violet, but it's good enough for this demonstration. And then I also have on my palette a red orange. A red orange registers right here. Now this is a desaturated, slightly desaturated. That means it has already it has some of its complement in it visually. And so this is the Rembrandt Transparent Oxide Red. Because this has a lot of orange in it, it will desaturate blue, and when we put them side by side at the same value range, they will emphasize each other, sort of like this in our eyes, and it causes a kind of vibrancy. So the key there is when you put them side by side, you have them in the same value range. Now they can have that vibrancy at various levels of saturation. All right, so I want to, first of all, I've got these two are the same value, but they're very, very dark. And when they're very, very dark, it's difficult to see that. And I'll just show you that very, very briefly right here. You see that's very, very dark. Now I'll rinse the brush out really, really good so I don't contaminate the other color. And you get that purest purest reading of the other color, the blue. And so when I put the blue, you see right beside that, you can you can see the difference in each other, in between them. You can see the difference between them. But if I alternate them, if I'm working in a shadow, for example, and if I alternate them, they begin to have a vibrancy to them. When I say alternate, here's what I mean. We have these two down. Now, let me get a paper towel here and see if I can do this without having to rinse each time. Now, if I go back to the warm dark color and put it right here, they begin to visually excite each other. And then if I put the blue beside it again, there we go. They begin to visually excite each other. Now, that's called alternation. When they alternate, in this case, it's red, orange, blue, red, orange, blue. We could just go throughout. Now, we can make them work in our painting for creating vibrancy by slightly mixing them together. Now, look at this. If I put blue in one side of the brush and I put the red orange in the other side of the brush and stroke them together, can you see? Let's get that just a little bit. There we go. Can you see now? And then I'll put this down. Can you see that slight little vibrancy in there? I don't know if the camera will show that. If we will, when we do our dark shadows, if we will use that method of we're going from cool to warm or warm to cool, and as you move in the shadows, sort of just alternate them, and like I've done here, and let me go put a little blue over on this side, sort of alternate like that. You'll be surprised at how vibrant those shadows would be, as opposed to just using a single color, a single value. As long as they're in the same value, you're okay. Now, let me show you that at other value levels, and I'm just going to do a very brief little demonstration to show you how the whole thing works. Now, I'll bring my red orange over, and let's get it at about, let's reduce that. I'll raise that value to about middle value. We'll do it middle value, and we'll do it light. But the key, as I said before, the key is keeping the values of the colors that you alternate, keep those values the same. Now, I do want to say to this person who wrote the email, let's not call this the correct way to do it. Let's call it the way we do it that makes it work. Because when we say, not that I'm correcting you, but when we use that language, that the correct way to do something in painting, it feels limiting. But if we say this is the way it works, that leaves it wide open, and then we can explore other things it can do. So I meant to say that when I was reading the email, but it sort of didn't get said. Now, how do you know when you have the warm and cool of two really different colors? I mean, how do you know when they are the same value? Having them the same value, I should say similar, very close in value, is what makes this work. Now, you're going to see in the next quick tip, you're going to see how the Impressionists use this to create the vibrancy in their paintings, and also to create those color mixtures. But the way you tell this is to squint. Well, I'll show you in just a moment. I'm trying to get reading pretty close to middle value. All right, now I'm going to pull a little bit of this on the back of my palette knife, and I'm going to squint right like this. And if they seem like the same value when I squint, I know that's pretty close. Now, another way to test that is to see if they stay the same value when I mix them together. If they stay the same value as these two. Now watch that. You see that turning neutral? All right, you see that? That holds really good. So that's close enough in value. Now, If I, let's take the color wheel down for just a moment. By the way, the blue and the orange, blue is a complement of orange, as you know. Red orange has enough orange in it to neutralize blue, but it will lean more toward a little more towards violet because of the red that's in there. And yellow orange has enough orange in it to also neutralize blue. Not completely neutral, but very much neutralize blue. But it has enough yellow in it that that neutral will lean more towards green. And so that's something that the Impressionists would use very much. But for the alternation, for this discussion, let's do this. I have that barely, you probably barely can see it. I was just trying to find something that's white, because this works, especially this alternating method of alternating hues or alternating colors of the same value, works really great when you're working with whites. If you're doing something that's white, or if you're doing something that is gray where you don't see the color in it, and at any value, that it works great. So what I'll do is just a very quick little demonstration for you to show you how that works. And so let's do just a very, let me not make that quite so dark, very quick little drawing. Okay, that's better, I guess. Now, so you can see this doesn't change in value very much, but for the sake of the exercise, I want to change it in value a little bit more. I'm going to start with, oh, I do need one more thing. I need to pull some white out and put it right here. Now, I'm going to take some blue and take some orange, and I'm going to get them very, very slightly neutral. Very slightly neutral, but I want that neutral to lean more towards the blue to begin with. So we'll start out with a neutral that leans towards blue. So I'll just keep pulling. You see that? All right, let's see. Does that lean towards blue? Yes. Okay. So what I'll do here now is I'll simply place, and I'm not doing that really precisely, because I want that ability to alternate. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. So I'll put that blue down here, like that. Now this doesn't, I haven't got it in a color environment, so it's not going to be true to what can really happen if I surround it with another color. But this just is about what alternation will do. Now, I'm going to begin to move. I'm going to move just a little bit in, not much, at that same value level. Remember, I'm moving just a little bit into orange, yellow orange, and I'm just going to stroke that through here. And I'll have the blue here. Move that out of the way. Have the blue here. Now I want you to watch what happens visually. See there? It's already beginning to happen. That blue moves through the orange, and then we have more of the blue. I'm saying blue, the part that leans towards blue. Now if I add a little bit of that, say right here, and just let it alternate back a little bit towards the blue. Just a little bit more towards the blue. I need to square this up right here a little bit more. Go. Now let's go back and let the orange put. Oh, there we go. There we go. You see? So we have blue, orange, blue. You may say blue, red, orange, etc. And you see how that alternation visually makes it sort of have a vibrancy to it. Now let's just do it just a little bit more. Let's put a little bit of that the orange right there. See why they need to be at the same value level. Now what I'd like to do there is just sort of gradate that out towards light. You can see it. This happens very, very subtle, very subtle gradation there. But I'm going to gradate that out towards white. And here's what we'll do. And here we've got to really stay on guard. So I'm going to go back now, and with this blue, with this mixture, I'm going to let it lean towards blue first. Now we're going to lighten it just a hair, not much, to get just a little bit lighter, right there. Let it be a little bit bluer. Lighten it there, and I'm going to place that right here. And it came off a little bit too similar to the value beside it. Here we go. Right here. All right, now, see that slight change in value. Now I'll go, oh, I'll tell you what I'm doing this time. I think I'll just take that blue all the way down. And stroke it up like that. Now, let's take the red orange and get that same value of the slightly desaturated. It does work in saturation when you do this sort of thing. I mean, when it's more highly saturated, but it really, when you reduce the saturation, it makes it work a whole lot better. I say, now watch this. Let's just let this lighter, a little bit lighter. Let's just let that lighter go right in there, kind of alternate in here. Let's get that blended right there between those two and let it alternate. See, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange. Just let it alternate back in here and blend that just a little bit so it will gradate. And you can begin to see already the kind of vibrancy you can get when you use this approach. I need to square that up at the bottom a little bit. I think I will do that like this. There we go. And just do a little bit more alternation right there. We go. Just love doing that. All right, now we'll go a little bit lighter. And I think I'm just going to go really, really light. So we'll pull a little bit of blue in here, not very much. And we'll put a little bit of red orange in here, not very much, just a little bit, just enough to get it more neutral. And let's see, is that so cool? All right, let's see. Let's do it this way. Let's pull this down this, and let's pull it this way, like that. And now, this time, I think what I'll do is to go into the red orange here. Let's pull it like that. Now let's pull a little of that in there. Let's go back in the red orange just a little bit more. Same value. You can vary the amount of red orange, but just keep that value similar. And let's go back to the blue. Pull this out. Brush there. Now watch this. See there? Feel that little bit of vibrancy that happens when we do that? And then we'll go back on up. And I'm going to let that get a little darker as it goes up. As that's sort of what shadow does. Well, it depends on how the light's shining on it, so we shouldn't make rules like that. All right, let's get just a little bit. Keep that blue. I'll go ahead and work this whole area right here. Like that. Let's get that just a little bit lighter. And a little bit lighter. Now let's get some, that's almost getting some alternation already. What I'm going to do here now, I'm going to pull the white over here, and without blue in it, I'm just going to get the same value. This is so cool. Get that same value of this blue right here, or same value range. Aha, aha. Now let's alternate it. Have a little bit of that in here. Have a little bit of it, and a little blue showing through, and then a little orange showing through, red orange. Let's get a little bit more, and then a little bit of the red orange showing through here, and a little bit of blue. Now there is alternation. Let's get this blended between the two, and we need to blend that with color in the brush. So we'll need to kind of split the difference between these two values to get those blended. So we don't want to lose the alternation when we blend. So let's just sort of do this. Let them kind of blend together like that. And let's see, let's get, a little bit more of the blue. Let's come just pure blue here now. And so kind of throw that, well, that is, I think, a little dark, don't you? We need to raise that value just a little bit. It's a visual thing. So it's our visual response, what our eyes are doing that causes us to see these things that way. Well, that's just that begins to sort of do it. That begins to sort of do it. Now, so this is just a sample. Add a little bit more blue in here. And then we have that thing alternate. This is just a sample of the kind of thing you can do. And if you want that to be smooth, you sort of could hit it a few times. You got to be careful because if you get it all blended together, you lose the alternation, lose that differences. But that's a sample of what I was talking about when I said in the newsletter that I sent out, when I said that alternation is the forgotten tool. We often forget that we can use that. I call it a tool because it is something that happens, you know. We alternate it and then it alternates because of what we did. But it is something that we can use in any value. But as long as we keep the values the same of the two colors we're alternating. So it's a fun experiment for you to try. And I think it might be a fun thing to do, especially if you have a day when you're inside, it's maybe dreary outside or whatever, and you need something fun to do. Just get you can do this with watercolor, you can do it oil and acrylic. The medium doesn't matter. The principles always work no matter what medium. So don't ever think that anything I'm doing on these quick tips is unique to any particular medium unless I say it is, unless it's something that a medium will do. One medium will do that the other won't, but that's very, very rare. Anyway, just use the traditional color wheel and just choose colors randomly and see what happens when you alternate. Start with a set of complements. Any set of complements will do. And then you might try just choosing randomly something that's cool and something that's warm and try to see what happens there, because the cool-warm will alternate because they're opposites. Cool and warm are considered opposites. So any two things that are opposite can be alternated. We have one and then the other and then one and then you know, that's what alternation means. One thing appears, another thing appears. This thing appears again, another thing appears. So it's their differences that sort of cause them to react with each other, and then they alternate just by changing places as they move along. All right, that's pretty much the way alternation of warm and cool works, and it's something I think you could have a lot of fun with. Be sure to view all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip, which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianneMize.com where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.